Hello, welcome back to my channel. This is going to be a slightly chatty get ready / partial first impression / partial second impression. I've got some about face fluid paint to try. I'm going to use a shade from the Sea Talk palette. I haven't used any of these out of the three from their new collab collection, and I have all three of them. Have Rare Beauty. So yeah, we're just gonna jump in. I'll give you guys kind of an update how post-surgery's been going, and yeah, if that sounds interesting, stick around. Make sure you're subscribed if you're not already, and let's jump into the video. I have not put any skincare on, so I'm gonna do a little bit just because I exfoliated really well last night to try and help prep my skin for potentially filming today. So I'm just going to use the Plum Hyaluronic Serum from Glow Recipe to start. Try not to mess my eyebrows up. The video is going to go up before I did a tutorial where I show you guys how I did this like fluffy brow. I've had a couple comments about, you know, my block eyebrows, and I'm trying not to. The lady that made the comment was not trying to be mean in any way, but it's one of those comments that it made me like little self-conscious, and I've been meaning to try and do some new brow techniques. So I took the plunge and bought the NYX brow pen because Angelica Nyquist uses that, and she doesn't have a lot of eyebrow either, so that was the inspiration to get that. And I finally took the plunge. So the video should go up before this where I show how I did my eyebrows. But yeah, I'm going to finish up my skincare really quick and then we'll get into it. I do have Bethany Frakels, if you follow her on TikTok. She claimed the best concealer that she's tried is this Can't Stop, Won't Stop. Now, if you've been on my channel for a while, my favorite is from Item Beauty. I wear the shade 110, which they do not make this shade anymore. So I need to break down and just get 100. And because they have shade 100 and 200, if I combine them, I'll be able to get close to this. Because this, I don't have to wear a color corrector under this one. I have pretty significant dark circles. I don't have to wear a color corrector. It doesn't crease really bad. It looks nice. This has been my favorite concealer for a while. Bethany Frakels claims this was her favorite. So I have two shades. We'll get into that when we get closer. But I do have that to try as well. Okay, my skincare feels like it sunk in. It's not too moist. I'm going to go in with the Cookies and Dream. A bunch of my primers, if you watched a couple videos ago, expired. I had a bunch of stuff expire, so I got this to replace, because I had the original putty primer and the illuminating one. This was on sale at my Walmart, so I picked it up. It is creamier than the original, so I may end up getting the original. But my favorite pore filling primer expired, and they don't make it anymore. It was the Urban Decay Rose Hip. It was pink. It came, yeah. I didn't know they were discontinuing it. Otherwise, I probably would have bought a new one. I have not found a pore filling primer, and I'm not getting a whole lot. This definitely is creamier than the original, which I don't know if that's better. You'll have to let me know if you have this one in the original. Is it worth me getting the original, or is this one just as good? Somebody needs to tell me, because I don't know. And I don't want to, I feel like I'm looking at pore filling primers, and I don't want to buy a bunch because I don't need a bunch. A good one is the No Problem from Touch and Soul, which I think they still sell. Mine's older. They still sell that one, I think. That one's not bad. Benefit has some good ones, so I don't know. I don't want to spend a bunch of money if I can find an inexpensive alternative. So you'll have to let me know if you have this one. Does it work as well? Because it is creamier, so I'm not getting as much product on my finger as I would with the original, but that Sometimes that's better, sometimes that's worse. I'm just putting it where I have texture. Like my pores are more visible here, and then the texture's been really bad on my face, especially kind of down in this area since I had surgery. So again, let me know if it's worth me getting the other one, because I'm not opposed to that. But anyways, you'll have to let me know. Okay, so I have that because I used to use the Urban Decay one, and then I would go in with my Becca backlight filter, which I still have. But instead of using that today, we're going to go in with the e.l.f. Halo Glow. It took me forever to get a hold of this. I've only used it once because I like to go in with a little bit of the pore filler to kind of help with my texture. And then we'll put this on because I definitely need some glow. If you're new, I have super dry, dehydrated skin. It's dry and dehydrated because those are not the same things. And I live in Arizona, and we're in the middle, you know, it's winter time technically here, so it's dry. So I got all kinds of dryness happening. So I like to look glowy, and I don't have oily skin, so I don't need something that's necessarily gonna mattify me. We'll go in with a brush. I have this new brush from LYS. It's a foundation brush, but we'll use it with the primer. Yeah, it took me forever to get a hold of this e.l.f. Halo Glow. And I almost got I think the light shade. This is the fair one. This is the lightest shade, which actually I think worked out that I wasn't able to get a hold of the other one. I ordered it, and then it got delayed, and then Walmart had to cancel the order, so I had to go back in and reorder it. And by that time, the light shade wasn't available, but I think this is fair. Whatever the lightest shade is, that's what this one is. Yeah, this one is fair. So it worked out because this does have a little bit of a tint, and I'm super pale, so I actually can wear that shade on its own, whereas the other one, I'm losing hair. The other one, I would not have been able to, so it worked out. Okay, for foundation, and I don't remember because I did another get ready first impression video, and I don't remember which foundation I used. I don't think I've used this. It's really bad that I don't know. I can't remember if I use this on camera or not. So we're going to use it again. This is the Rare Beauty. I'm just thinking about my shade. Foundation, I have 170W. I know you're supposed to shake this really well. Like I said, I don't remember if I've even tried this. I got it in a BoxyCharm. So I know I took it out and looked at it, but I don't know if I've actually put it on my face. So we're going to try it. I don't normally do a lot of foundation. If I'm going to do a foundation, I like the Fenty, the original soft matte, I think is what it's called. That's my favorite, like, actual foundation. Other than that, I generally just do tinted moisturizers. So I don't do a lot of actual foundation. I'm just going to use this LYS foundation brush, which is nice. I don't need a lot of coverage. My skin tone is pretty even. I get some redness kind of around this area once in a while just because that's where I get little like bumps. It's not always straight up acne. My face doesn't thankfully break out a ton, but I've got a pretty even complexion, so I think that's why most days I just don't even bother doing foundation because I really don't need a ton of coverage. So just put this around. I have, like I said, I have a couple of little like spots. I think that color's pretty good. It's definitely, it might be a hair dark, but I think a hair dark is better than too light because then it just washes me out. Looking at the skin around my eyebrows. Yeah, I think that's probably a good color match. Okay, so let's try the concealer. I have two shades in this Can't Stop, Won't Stop, and I thought this was a brand new product. It's not. It's been out for like 4 years. I got the shade range on Walmart's website was not good. Now, I don't know if the shade range just isn't good because it's not good or if it's just Walmart's website. You'll have to let me know. But I started off with shade, and this doesn't, Alabaster, which is like the third or fourth lightest, which is too light, like way too light. And then I went back on and I was going to get shade 5 or 6. They were sold out. So I ended up getting the shade Natural, which is the 7th lightest shade as far as Walmart's website is concerned. I'm going to use this too for a little brightening, but I know I used this once and I didn't like it because it was too light. If the shade is too light and you're trying to cover, you're going to have a hard time. So we're going to try. The shade might be a little bit too dark. We'll see. If it is, it's fine. It looks like it might be, which is okay. I will put some of this in with it and we'll lighten it up. I think shade 6 probably would have been better, but like I said, it was sold out and it's hard online. I'm going to put a little bit kind of up in here and around in here just because I've got some redness going on. And we'll use a little bit of this because I do like spotlighting like the center of my face. So we will put some of the light. So I don't mind having 2 shades, but it was challenging to try and figure out what the right shade was. Like I said, I used it once and too light makes it difficult to determine the coverage because Bethany Frakels swore like it had great coverage, didn't crease, blah, blah. I don't think it covered. Yeah, that's a little bit dark. I'm gonna have to go in and finagle that a little bit, but having that other shade, I can definitely make it work. Bring some of the lighter color in here, and then I'll go in with a brush and kind of clean up. Try not to mess up my eyebrows, so it's making it challenging. I'll go in and fix kind of in here where it looks a little bit more yellow. I like the Item Beauty because I don't have to color correct underneath it. It covers on its own, and I haven't found a concealer in a long time. Like, I like the Maybelline, the Age Rewind one, but I do have to color correct underneath it because it doesn't have enough coverage, but it's a really nice concealer and it doesn't crease. So I was shocked when I found that Item Beauty one and it covered and I didn't have to color correct underneath it. And it was one of those things where I'm pretty sure I color corrected under it the first time I used it, just out of habit. And then there was one day I was being lazy and slapped it on and realized I didn't need to color correct. See, it looks fine, but I still don't think it covers because I feel like I can see, and I do have a little bit of where it's like sunken in. So that does create a shadow. That just is from age. It's not like a product problem, but I feel like the Item Beauty one just does better. And I really hope and pray that that company doesn't go out of business. If you're not familiar, it's Addison Rae's beauty brand. Sephora no longer carries it, which doesn't necessarily mean that the company's going out of business, but makes me nervous. So I really think I need to watch for like a sale and just get shade 100, 200 so that I have backups. Because whilst I don't think this looks bad, I don't know that I love it as much as the Item Beauty one. So I'm gonna let this kind of hang out and we'll move on. I've been watching some like makeup class videos, and a pro tip was to let the concealer kind of hang out. Like if you struggle with creasing, if you don't struggle with creasing, then just ignore me for a minute and let it, because concealers are gonna crease a little bit. Most will. If you have lines, they're gonna settle, they're gonna do their thing. So let them hang out. If you set it too soon, you can cause more creasing and caking, if that makes sense. So I have not set the concealer. We're going to go in with the cream products that I'm going to use. We'll pat out the lines and then we'll set it. So I'm going to use the Flower Beauty contour thingy again. I used this once and I do like this formula. It just dries really fast, so you need to like work in stages. And that was the complaint that I saw for people that didn't like it, was, oh, it sets really fast. So don't dot your whole face and then try and blend it out, because you're going to have a hard time from what I understand. But I didn't dislike this. I don't know how I feel about that Rare Beauty foundation, because I used this contour again before and I feel like it looked better than it does right now. I think it's the foundation. I don't love the way that Rare Beauty foundation. The last video I filmed, I think I used the Fenty hydrating one, because there's definitely, and I know I didn't do like super thick amount of foundation, but I feel like I was debating if I was gonna like ditch the footage and just call it a day. It looks a little better on this side. I think it's the foundation. I honestly do, because I like the formula of this and I thought it looked better on the Fenty. And it could be, there's factors. I did like heavily exfoliate my skin last night. I put a mask on that I've never used before. My skin's been acting up a little bit. I feel like I can see some of my skin peeking through, and that, and I feel like it looks muddy on this side. Am I insane? I feel like it looks better on this side. There's mitigating factors. I'm not going to say that I think the foundation is bad. I just don't think it's sitting well today. And there could be reasons for that. So, not loving that foundation today. And it's not doing any favors for the contour, but I do normally like this, at least when I used it before, but you do need to work relatively quickly with it. This does dry down, so don't dot it all over your whole face and try and use it, because all of the complaints that I saw about it said that it dried too fast. So just work in sections like I did. But yeah, I feel like, and some of it could be the lighting too. It's hard to tell sometimes. And I could have had leftover something when I first applied it. I just feel like it looks a little muddy right in here, but it doesn't look muddy on this side. So like I said, I could have had something left over on my brush. I'm going to go in with that foundation brush and try and see if we can save that a little bit. Okay, I am going to go in with a cream bronzer on top of the contour, and I know that I like this too. This is the Lower East Side. I think it's in the shade Skyscraper. I got this in a boxy charm and I actually really like it. So if this looks bad too, and it's just a cream bronzer, I'm going to use the same brush. I was pleasantly surprised when I used this because it just went on pretty easily. I've used it a few times. It looks nice. And I'm mixing both just because the contour is sculpting. This is going to give me a little bit more color. So I like mixing the two creams and then going in with powders. Because normally how I do bronzer, I like to do a matte. If you're new, if you're not new, you've heard me say this 50 million times and I apologize to you. I like to use a matte bronzer or a true like contour, and then I like to go in and blend it out with a shimmery glowy bronzer. And that's a pro tip. I do have my cosmetology license and I've taken a lot of like makeup classes, so that's just a pro tip. So that's why I like to do that. And I do go heavy with bronzer. I know I do. It's because I'm so fair. I didn't used to be this fair before COVID, I swear. Yeah, I just feel, and I might have had something on, I feel like it looks muddy right in here. You'll have to let me know because I could be crazy. That's entirely possible. Okay, so now the concealer has had time to hang out, so I'm going to go in just with my finger and kind of pat out. It has not creased bad, so I will say that part is nice. I just feel like this in here, like the Item Beauty, just looks a little bit better. And I know concealer and stuff, foundation based products, everything is very, you know, personal preference. So not to say that she's wrong or she doesn't know what she's talking about. I just don't think I like that as much as the Item Beauty. And it makes me sad because I'm having a hard time getting a hold of the right shade. So I'm just going in with the CoverGirl Clean Fresh powder. I got a few new powders recently and I've been trying to see if I find one that I like. Powder is one of those things where I use it, but I like my number 7 one a lot. I'm just trying to see if there's some other ones that I like just as much. I'm just gonna tap around to set everything. I'm one of those, I don't like feeling tacky. So I'm gonna finish powdering and we'll come back. And then I did go in with a little bit of the Halo Glow from e.l.f. just to put some glow back in. Another one that I really like for that is the Skin Finish in Opalescence from Makeup Revolution. It just, and I might use it, I haven't used this in a while. I might put a little bit of this on. It just, MAC makes one, Hourglass, you know, their ambient light powders. It's the same kind of a deal. So it's just a finishing powder, but it's going to give me a little bit of glow just because I do like to set my face. But so far, I like that CoverGirl powder. I don't think it's bad. My favorite is still the number 7 Lift Illuminate. This is supposed to be a dupe, I guess, for the Charlotte Tilbury. I do like the number 7 powder, so still using that. Okay, I forgot to use my cream blush. I want to see, this is the Flower Beauty. I used this in my last video. This is in the shade Cheeky. I want to see how this goes on top of powder. Some cream blushes, and this isn't cream, this is a liquid. Some cream and liquid blushes you can do on top of powder. I'm kind of doing stuff out of order here. I'll go in with a powder blush on top of this. I just want to see if this is one. As I said, some stuff you can use on top of powders and some stuff you definitely cannot. This seems like it's doing fine on top of the powder. So I'm going to finish putting this on and then we'll go in with the rest of the powder. Okay. I am going to make sure that this is really cleaned off for next time because I'm starting to think it just looks like it's still muddy on this side. And it doesn't look muddy on that side. So I don't know what's going on, but that blush seemed like it applied just fine on top of powder, which is nice. And again, this is the Flower Beauty in Cheeky. I don't know why more people don't talk about these liquid blushes. This seems nice. I am slowly getting into cream products. I am not a huge cream product user, if you couldn't tell. Okay, so I'm going to go in with a little bit. I'm just trying this for the first time. This is a Marc Jacob. I don't know what it's called. I got it through BoxyCharm. This company doesn't exist anymore as far as their cosmetics. I'm just going to take a little bit of that matte. Just put some kind of in here or on top of that cream. And I'm going to go in with a little bit of powder blush too. And I'm going to take this just kind of up in the temples for more of a contour. And then I'll go in with a shimmery bronzer. This is the Ulta Beauty 3-in-1 Cheek Palette. Santorini is the shade that I have. We'll use the bronzer from here. If I can get it open, maybe. There we go. And then we'll use, well, maybe the blush from the Marc Jacobs palette, because I haven't. The highlighter that's in there might be too dark for me. So I will use the highlighter out of this one probably. Yeah, I just feel like there's something going on this side of my face. Just looks a little muddy. Not loving that. Okay, so we will use the blush. It looks like it's almost the same shade as the one out of this one, but whoops, that's not blush. Trying to go back in. And that Flower Beauty liquid blush felt like it set down pretty well, like it didn't stay tacky. I definitely do not want a cream or liquid blush that stays tacky. That is just not my journey. That's why I still set my entire face. I don't like, it's a little bit of a harsh line here, but that's from the cream blush. I just didn't get the blend super well. You ever have the off day with makeup where stuff is just not applying well? I feel like I'm there today. And I went back and forth like 5 times whether or not I was even going to film. So that probably is contributing. Just using the highlighter out of this Ulta Beauty palette. And I might go in with a little bit just because this is super icy. Because normally if a highlighter is a little bit too dark for me, I can usually mix it with a lighter one, kind of make it work. And this highlighter is a little bit on the pinkier side, so hopefully it'll like kind of blend in with that blush a little bit. Kind of give me a glowy something. 'Cause I don't wear matte blush often anymore. I tend to prefer something a little glowier. So I think that looks okay. It's still bothering me about this side. Some of it could be shadow. When you film with lights, it throws off everything. So let me kind of clean up a little bit and we'll do eyeshadow really quick. So this is probably not a good day to experiment with stuff because I'm having some troubles, but that's okay. I'm gonna put the mirror here. Hopefully that doesn't bother you all too much. I bought 2 of these, and I think I talked about it in my haul video. I got a black one and a white one from About Face, and Teresa is Dead gave me this idea. These are their fluid eye paints. I got white and black will change, obviously, the way shimmers look on top. So I thought these would be fun for like putting on the lid and either doing one or the other, and then one shimmer. So we're going to try, we'll try the white today and kind of see how it goes because I have not used these. So I'm going to try and do this eye off camera and we'll hope and pray that it works. I had the thought maybe we'll do black on the other side and I can kind of show you what I mean. I don't have any primer down. So I just put a teeny little dab in the center. That's how much I had put the first time. And I just have a clean fluffy brush from Luxie. I'm just trying to make it a little bit more, I guess opaque would be the right word. And I'm just doing a little bit at a time because I've heard these are pretty pigmented. I've seen people, she's got all different colors. I've seen people use, I want to say it was like a navy color. They do set, so trying to work, I don't know. I think you do have a little bit of time to go in and blend it out, but I'm just doing a little bit as I go. So there's the white side, but I had the thought that, why don't I just do one on each? And you can kind of see what I'm talking about if you've never done a black base. And I used to have, it came in one of my, oh, I can't think of the brand. I want to say Benefit, but that's not it. It's the brand that makes the Mary Luminizer, the balm. I had one of their, it was like sweet tea palettes or something, and it had two different like cream eye bases in it. It had a like a lid, like your skin tone shade, and a black one. I decluttered the palette because I just wasn't using it because it has some really pretty like foiled shades in it. So I gave it to a friend of mine. But I thought it was neat that it came with the two different colored eye bases. Just because a black, like I said, underneath shadow will change the way it looks. And I don't want like the black to be, like I want some opacity, but I don't, it's a base, so I don't need it to be like overpowering, if that makes sense. I'm just trying to get an even application and kind of blend it out up because I'm going to do the shimmer all over the lid. Okay, clean the brush off. And I do have a glitter glue, so I am going to go on top of this with a glitter glue just so that the shimmer sticks. Okay, so we have the fluid paint. And I'm going to be using the Sea Talk palette from Odin's Eye. This is the one that Lauren May Beauty did. I did pull out a blue liner for the waterline just for something fun. So I'm going to go in with the NYX glitter glue. I think this is set. We'll go in with the white side first. I don't know if I want to go in with a brush. We're experimenting here. Can you tell? Because I bought all this stuff to use and then have never used it. So I'm just going to go in with a little flat Morphe brush. They do not sell this brush anymore. Crown sells one that's similar. This is the 170-M from Crown. It would be 170-C. It's not exactly the same, but it's pretty close. And the ones from Crown were like $2 a piece. So I'm just putting the glitter glue all over just because I want the shimmer to stick really well. Normally in the past when I do this, I'll just go in with a more wet base. But since we've got the color underneath, I might need that flat brush again. We'll see. I'm going to probably try and go in with my finger first. So let's look here. Not sure. What shimmer? Let's do Ocean Jewel, maybe this blue one. And then you'll be able to see how having a different colored base is going to make a difference. So I'm going to clean this up and we'll come right back. I've started putting it on the black side and again went in with my finger on the lid. But you can already see it's the same shade, that same Ocean Jewel, and I'm using the same little fluffy brush. So then I'm going to go in with some on the fluffy brush just to blend this out. But you can see how you've got a different effect with just changing the color underneath. And then having even a skin tone shade, like if I went in with concealer instead of the white or the black, would change it a little bit too. So I'm going to put some liner in my waterline, figure out a color to do on the bottom, and I'll come right back. I decided not to put anything in my waterline, but yeah, so there you go. You can see how colored bases can change the look. Thank you guys so much for hanging out with me. Sorry this was a mess of a video, having an off day. I would appreciate it if you would make sure you're subscribed if you're not already. And hopefully I will see you in another video very, very soon. Bye, everybody.